So now tell us a little bit about what's going on at FC United at the minute.
So I've been CEO for just over 12 months now. We've been at Broadhurst Park since 2017. We are now going into our 18th year as a football club. So obviously it came from that discontent with Man United and the Glazers, but it was much more than that. It was very much around what the Premier League stood for and Sky Sports and that changing games all the time. And one of our visions and manifestos is around 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock because the women play at 2 and we're at Equitable Club. Changing that and the membership then developed a kind of manifesto and vision for the football club way back when, in 2005. And then fast forward a few years, a lot of hard work, a lot of heartache, a lot of discussions, arguments, fallings out, good times happened, and we landed in Broadhurst Park in 2017. So we are a member-owned football club in the heart of the north of Manchester. And the last 12 months have been a huge transitional year for the football club. So we developed a new business plan and strategy alongside a financial sustainability plan for the next 3 to 5 years, which we're a year into. And the growth of the club has been incredible, from our commercial growth, events and hospitality, to what we're doing with women and girls. We wrote a whole new blueprint around women and girls activity. And last week we just launched a new shirt for the women to play in, which was a suffragette shirt. So there's lots been happening in the last 12 months, but I've always been part of Fair Game since its inception a few years ago now. I'm very much kind of championing what fan-owned, community-led football clubs are about.
And how do you measure that in terms of kind of scaling it upwards? Show that if you put this community ethos at the heart of your business, it can have organisational improvements, performance improvements on and off the pitch as well.
Yeah, so the vision of FC United was very much around how do we develop a football ground that will service its community. And that's not from just the playing perspective of the football club, so it's how you're educated, how you play, how you coach, how you volunteer, how you come to an educational course, or whether it be a mental well-being or a weight management course, for example. And a lot of our activity is driven through, and our football is driven through community activity, because you've still got to service the running of an operational building Monday to Friday. It's not just about that Saturday or Sunday when the men or the women play. So it's how we drive more community activity through, and we've said it quite a lot today at Fair Game, and I've said it to the MPs, and I've said it a lot through the last few years with Fair Game. And until we realise that building, whatever building you're in, your football club, we're here at Chester, or whether we're at Broadhurst Park, that's your hub of the community. So you don't just drive past, you realise that you can be part of that organisation and that development. So our funding, as we fund the football club, is through member ownership, so our co-owners, and then through grants, through community programmes, and programmes that are doing good for the community, really.
Yeah. Do you think, I don't want to take it back to Manchester United particularly, but do you think you're able to address that sense of identity and belonging on a community level that they possibly no longer can because of the beast that they are?
Yeah, I believe that, and that's why I wanted to be part of the football club, because any of us can become a member, and you pay a membership, and that gives you the opportunity to be elected onto the board, be elected onto one of our committees. You have a vote on anything from the change in shirt to a new commercial partner becoming part of the football club, to a change in season ticket price, to a change in membership. You as a member get to vote on that. You have a say in the running of your football club, and that's really, really important for me. So the business plan that was written, although it was written by myself and some of our kind of executive members of our board and our strategy and governance committee, essentially it was written for the members and signed off by the members. So they're having a say in the running of that football club. So in essence, how I see it is our membership, our co-owners, are telling me how they want their football club to run. I'm just leading that for them with a team of people behind the scenes. And very much for me, I don't differentiate between the staff and the volunteers. We're all part of the FC team, and we've got a huge volunteer base at FC United that are all members. So that's the big difference as well from, you know, a big giant like Man United. Do they have membership and volunteers that are having a say on my football club? No, they're not having a say in the running of their football club. And I still think there's this tokenistic, or we're going to set up a fans forum, or we're going to have this fans group that will help us run the football club. Well, that's just one voice. We have 3,000 that have a say in the running of the club, their club.
Yeah, and it's that was the essence of football clubs in the beginning, why they existed in the first place, wasn't it? To represent communities and be a part of something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And how difficult is it for you then as CEO, when obviously everybody's got different opinions about, so I'm sure some people are more bothered about on-field performance and they're not that bothered about the work that you do in the community, and others will see it the opposite way around. Is that a difficult balance to keep in check?
So in November 21, the club had its biggest members co-owners survey in its history in terms of what they wanted the vision to be. So it is kind of the mantra, it's your club and my club. It's community led, it's about affordability, it's about not outright commercialisation, although the world has shifted very much in the last 12 to 18 months, that the co-owners now are very much embracing the commercial revenue that we're bringing into the football club, and there's a lot of due diligence done around that commercial activity for the right reasons. We have an ethical policy and sponsorship ethical policy that we adhere to as a football club. The world has changed very much, so that vision that was set up by and voted on by the co-owners was about how they wanted their football club ran, how they wanted commercial and events and hospitality income to be driven into the football club, what they wanted the staffing structure to look like. And members actually voted on having a full-time CEO and the staff, the team that I have at the football club. So as CEO, I manage everything on and off the field. So there is that balance between financially being stable and wanting to be competitive. But the mantra from the football club and the objective from the co-owners that was being community led, the kind of percentage of co-owners that wanted us in the National League or to get promoted wherever we are in the pyramid was quite a small percentage. But we're in football and we're very competitive and we want to win. And Neil and I, so Neil who's the manager and James who's the manager of the women's team, we are all very, very much on the same page. Is how do we get promoted but in the right way? We're not going to throw the kitchen sink at it financially. We will do it in the right way because our co-owners have put the trust in us to deliver it financially in the right way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely.
Although I want us to get promoted, and so does Neil and James.
Yeah,
so.
and it's easier said than done, isn't it? Because what some people might not understand is that when you get to the level that FC United are at, and even in National League, there's the financial inequalities that exist there, on the books and off the books, makes it difficult to compete.
Yeah.
Because you're swimming with some relatively big fish.
Yes, and you know, I've worked in the EFL and the National League, and non-league football for me is very much what I call true football. It's gritty, it's hard work, it's challenging. You've got, you know, players that are on part-time contracts or not on a contract that work all day and then give their heart and soul to that football club. Not that others, you know, across the pyramid don't. But the kind of the difference is that FC United is providing affordable football for its community and delivering its vision in the right way. We do want to get promoted. The women got relegated last season, but we know they're at the top of the table now, and they should get promoted within this month. Couple of games to go, so they'll go back up to the National League. And our club is very much around equality as well. So I'd said when I started at the football club that the women's team at some point, next 5 to 10 years, will be equally paid or paid something towards what the men are paid. I think that will come a lot quicker with the women's team because of kind of what we're doing around that blueprint to deliver a women and girls programme that's holistic for the whole community.
Yeah, and in general, I guess the growth of women's football is going to help.
Huge, yeah, definitely. There is still a lot of disparity between what's happening in Super League and what's happening at kind of this level we're at with the women's team. You're still getting a lot of games called off. There's still not enough players. The pitches they play on are, awful. Whereas our women, for the last few years, I mean, we've had a women's team for 11 years, play on the stadium pitch. And that's, they should be. So the men can play on a Saturday, the women play on a Sunday. Our aim is to get as many people through that door to watch the women's team as we do with the men's game. And that's going to take time, and we're all right with that. And the women's team realised that. And earlier this year, we signed off the biggest sponsorship deal, which has been unheard of because of that commerciality that the club didn't want, but now realise we need to move in that direction. Signed the biggest deal that the football club has had for the women's blueprint with Pretty Little Things. So a Manchester-based company that are very much supportive of what we're doing to embrace equality.
Yeah. And for you being here at the Fair Game Annual Conference today, great opportunity to speak to people and hopefully to try and impact as well how regulation looks in the future. What have been the main points that you've kind of put across to the likes of Lucy Powell and to Alison McGovern to make sure that FC United and similar community clubs get what they need?
Well, that's the point. It's about that community social value. So yes, very much a supporter of the sustainability index, very much a supporter of that financial fair, that flow of funding, although it kind of won't reach our level, but if we keep championing it, what our football clubs are doing within our community and the hub and the putting a monetary value to the social impact of community clubs, the more we say that to MPs, the more that's relayed to government, and the more that is talked about, the more they will realise the actual value of that building, that community hub and what it provides. And becoming less reliant on the health service, less reliant on after school clubs, less reliant on childminding after school for kids, that there's a building there that can provide all of this. I think that's the message that's got to go back to government.
And just finally as well, because this is something I feel really quite strongly about too, is making other clubs understand that that's a two-way transaction and it's not a trade-off that you're making by doing that for the community. It's going to come back.
Of course it has to, yeah. We can't run all of these programmes and I can't run Broadhurst Park without some financial support, because there are for any football club there are a finite number of members or co-owners or fans out there, and we're all fighting for the same. We're in a hotbed of football in Greater Manchester, and we're all fighting for the same, but it's what's FC's uniqueness, and that's what I have to sell. But there is definitely, that money's got to come back, because we are providing all of this, and whether it comes through grants, and that I think we're kind of all right with that, but it's what that social value and impact is, and there's got to be some financial recompense for that.
Thank you, Nat.
No worries, thank you.